this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela. I wasn't even sure if it'd come on because the whole layout here is different on YouTube, and the whole layout is a little bit different on Reddit. So I don't know if we had a shift or everybody just redesigned everything at once. Did anyone ever find the cartoon that has crickets rubbing their legs together? I do remember seeing that cartoon. I think it was some kind of, since the 70s. Okay, so some people are talking about some weird color changes and stuff. I've noticed a couple things over at my house. One is I have a red light therapy panel, and I used to look at the red light therapy panel and it looked red. The light looked red when it came out. But today when I looked at it, it looked kind of greenish. So I know you're going to say, okay, well, maybe the red cones got saturated in your eyes or something. I know there's that whole story, but it didn't used to start out like that. I mean, like, it looks like when it hits my legs, it looks like this sallow green color, and I just have not. And then used to be it would glow the whole room kind of red, but now it's just a little bit or something. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just think it's different now. And the other thing is the red apparently has left the therapy panel and it has gone into the lighting system of my truck, because the little dials and stuff now have this red backglow right around. It's like when there's like a little circle and then the needle comes out for showing levels, and behind the circle now glows red. I don't think it glowed red before. That one I can't swear on my mother's grave or anything, but I don't think it did. Now the red light panel, yes, I'm quite sure that it looks weird. Like either my eyes have changed or that panel has changed or something has changed, because it used to be red light therapy. We used to joke about, also, it used to be like after I used it and you look around, everything looked weird for a while. Now everything, like, it looked weird, like weird kind of color, like, I don't know, your eyes are confused. It doesn't do that now, or my eyes aren't doing it or something. I don't know. So those are two changes I've noticed. Plus a bunch of changes in some of the programming, social media locations. Like this backstage here looks different than it did. It said something about turning on the encoder, and it used to use a different word. Do I have pics for how it was before? Yeah, it wouldn't, like they're saying, if the pics would change also if I did. But no, I never really took a picture of the red light coming out of my red light panel. I mean, it never occurred to me it wouldn't stay red. And I don't know. I mean, it's kind of tricky because they say that the actual range is mostly outside of the red range. It's supposed to be in the infrared, but yet you'd still see some red. I guess maybe now it's more outside. I don't know. Shari, you saw your husband watching a movie you thought he already watched, and then he's like, no, this is my first time. Yeah, I know. Just, it's stuff like that, right? I know. Okay, so let's see. Maybe I'll start with that. All right, I'll do the thumbnail first. So it's those giant anteaters. They've always been weird. So there's like one, and then I think this is the baby, because the babies ride on the back, but this baby's getting kind of big, but it's still a baby. It's not in the right position for other shenanigans. So what's changed then is that, so this was from Taro Eto, our friend in Japan, who brought this one to my attention, is that these things have looked weird for a while. And they just keep getting weirder. And I've had them on before, and every time there's like a little weirder, a little more, like the tail's a little more bushy. But what Taro noticed is that there's this spot on the leg now that, you know, I don't even know if that's a he or a she. That person didn't remember. And it makes it look like there's like another head here. So I think that's going to be the point of it now. So if you look, especially like on this one, quit that. So you can see it kind of looks like this is a panda's head here, and this kind of disappears. So I guess if a predator attacked, maybe it would think it's attacking the head, but it's really attacking the leg. Because the leg is fatter than the head. The leg looks like the head. But I don't remember. I had said before that I don't remember. You know, I swear this is like zoning in. Because even just a little while ago, I don't think the spot was quite that big. Yeah, so, you know, the other thing I'm seeing now that I look at it, I don't remember this area having a white outline. This black area now has a white outline. I had mentioned that the legs were getting white, but I don't think they were this white. And now there's the spots. So those are, I think, the newer. See, like, look at that. Doesn't it really look like this is the head? There's an eye, there's the ear, there is the nose, and it's like maybe drinking there. That looks like a nose, but it's really the foot. This is interesting because when I was first looking at this, I swear earlier today, I just saw this and not the ear part. And this, I don't think was this fat. It's crazy. Yeah, look at that. I swear it's changing since earlier today. You know, it's just weird because I pull these up and I kind of decide where everything is and what I'm going to say about it. And then sometimes it's already different. It just, so here's another mother with a little smaller one on the back. So you can see that that's how they ride back there. Trying to figure out what this is all in here. Is that parts of the mother now? I'm confused. Maybe the back got like more shaggy than last time even. Okay, so see if you look at that, then what's this white stuff then? Now I'm confused. What is this white stuff? Okay, so there's a rock, there's white. What? There's the foot, there's the weird head. All right, this one doesn't have the white stuff. I guess this is, okay. This is the head, this is the tongue, and these are the legs. God, it just, it's weirder every second. You could really see how much this looks like the head now. So I could totally see a predator. You just kind of dismiss this and you see that and you think it's the head. How many predators are like, what? So somebody was saying they just remembered them all gray. Yeah, when these first showed up, there was one kind of anteater and it was kind of grayish. And it wasn't this weird and it didn't have this big bushy tail. And it just kept morphing and morphing and morphing. And the color wasn't like this. And it didn't have that big of claws. And yeah, see that it just gets more and more bushy all the time. It's ridiculous. So the tail gets huge. The head wasn't, I don't think the head was this small. I mean, seriously? There's sort of a weird thing with the, oh, is this an albino one? Only known albino giant anteater. Okay. How do you put a collar on it when the head is smaller than the neck? Looks like it's a harness, but... So, I guess, what did they knock it out and take a photo? I guess so. All right, so there you go. Super weird. So that's the latest upgrade, update, whatever. See, look, it's already, I swear to God, it's already getting bigger than earlier. Look at how big that stripe is now. Are we going to like zoom right past where it looks like a head and it's going to be something else? So if you're in a different timeline, maybe the stripe was already big yesterday for you. For me, it's not. I don't know. Now it looks like it's getting a more complicated look. It's not just a simple stripe. Of course, anybody who watches this later will be like, what are you talking about? It's the same. I think that's a baby one. See, look how thick it is there. This is interesting because other times when I look up this, there just wasn't these many angles of them. All these different front view, and that always kind of just, it's interesting. I'll go looking at these for 2 or 3 years and you'll just see one kind of photo, and then suddenly you finally get to see all these other angles. I kind of wonder if maybe the later you don't get to see the whole thing until it's sort of sorted out how it's going to look. See, I haven't seen that view. Now this is interesting because these things, okay, these are also anteaters. When these first showed up, they were so tiny. Let me make sure this is the same one. This is that what do you call it? Pangolin? Is it still a pangolin? Tamandua, lesser anteater. Yeah, that one showed up a while ago. Silky. Yeah, that's the pangolin. Armadillo. There's a bunch of armadillos now. Hairy armadillo has hair on the scales. There's like a jillion of those. I'm not even going to go into those. That one got so complicated. Didn't there used to be some white or gray on the tail? I think so. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's the razzle-dazzle style of, instead of a ship, it's a mammal. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're harmless because they don't have, it doesn't look like they have any teeth or anything. They just eat ants. Okay, so let me close that guy down. Doink. Why do I have this? Oh, that's what I just clicked on. Okay. Okay. I don't know if this is really a Mandela. I'm very suspicious of this, but I'm going to mention it just because it might be useful. And it's about vitamin D recommendations. So anybody who kind of keeps up on vitamins might be familiar that normally they recommend somewhere between, so vitamin D is measured in IUs, which stands for international units. As I guess it's because there's, I don't know why they're IUs instead of milligrams or whatever, but it's IUs. And so they usually recommend between like 400 and 800 IUs a day. Of course, it's complicated because if you go out in the sun in the midday and you live near the equator, you can get a bunch of sun. And the sun is converted to vitamin D in your skin, and you can get it that way. So you don't have to eat it. So you could get your 400 to 800 IUs from the sun. But in the winter, the sun is at too much of an angle. Maybe you can't get enough direct sun that it won't work. If you're in the north, you might hardly ever get enough direct sun. In the ancient times, they said that like the Inuits would eat a lot of whale and seal, which is loaded with vitamin D, and that's how they would get their vitamin D, from eating it. But nowadays, a lot of us don't go out in the sun much. People in the north don't get much sun, but they probably don't eat a bunch of seal and whale either. So they recommend 400 to 800 IUs of vitamin D is consumed. And vitamin D is one of those vitamins that if you don't have enough, you will feel really crappy. And so like it's involved in all through your body. So life's gonna suck if you don't have it. Okay, so now all of a sudden it comes out. All of a sudden, 11 years ago, all of a sudden, the story is that when they worked out this requirements 400 to 800 IUs, I think Canada's 600, America was 400, but some places are like, well, maybe just take a little more. So that's why sometimes you see 800, but it's technically, I believe, last I checked, supposed to be 400 for USA and 600 for Canada. They had many, many, many years ago, supposedly the story is they did a meta-analysis where they took all the different studies and they analyzed all the studies for vitamin D, and they kind of calculated what they think you'd need to take to be sure that you would be in healthful range. And that was 400 or 600-ish IUs. Now, and this happened like 11 years ago, some people went back and checked all that and found out they had really, really bad math and totally screwed up something. And in fact, the whole estimate was off by 20 times. Like, it's so off. It's not just 10 times off. It's 20 times off. So instead of 400 IU, it should have been more like 8,000 IU. Now they're saying really you probably seem like you need 8,000 IU a day. So that is a lot more than 400 IU. It's even 10 times more than 800 IU. So before you run out and just suck down 10K IU, I mean, there hasn't been much research at this new level, okay? So I don't know if it's tricky because some people are like, no, you could get too much calcium then or whatever. But let's just put it this way. It's highly unlikely that 400, 600, or even 800 IU is going to reach you to the healthful levels. And this was known about 11 years ago, 12 years ago. There's actually multiple articles where people keep bringing this up and going, well, we know this was a mistake, so let's change the requirements. And then the requirements don't change. Now, I'm really suspicious that maybe this is just a big old Mandela, but who the heck knows? I don't know. I have noticed that when I bring this up, because I ran and bring this up on the subreddit called for supplements, and the first thing people are like, oh, well, that's not the RDA. I'm like, well, yes, because this article is about that the RDA was calculated incorrectly. So of course it's not the RDA. I'm like, because the RDA was calculated incorrectly. Like, then they're like, but you can't take more than the RDA. That's dangerous. I'm like, but this is about the RDA. But I mean, it's like there's brain freeze or something. It's like they couldn't understand. But so this particular, there's multiple of these different times, but this particular one says the original math thought that they were going to get the bell curve of the populace to about here. The goal was to get above 50 for the blood levels. And so they thought that if you took about 600 IUs, the populace would be in this range, and that over 95 something percent would be above 50. And they considered that, in the healthful range, because they want you to be above 50. So that was the goal. But it turns out that that's where the current calculation would put you. A lot of people under 20, which is considered dangerously low. A few people made it up to 50. Again, it's tricky because some people get more sun than others. There's genetics, like super white-skinned people get more from the sun than dark-skinned. Older people convert less from the sun than younger people on average. There's probably a bunch of genetic variation, even if we're both white and the same age, there might be, I might be way better or way worse than another person. I happen to suspect that I actually am not very good at converting vitamin D, but even before. Anyways, so, Yeah. The official story, though, is that it's usually anything 10K or lower seems like it really causes a problem. You probably should be, according to this, taking more than 600 IU, though. I'm going to crank mine up to about 5K. In fact, I've already done that, and I feel a lot better. So I need more time to really evaluate the situation, but anyways, I just think this is really interesting that for 12 years at least, we've known that this thing has been hideously, horribly, drastically wrong, yet everybody just ignores it. It's like, and when they talk about the strong delusion in the Bible, this kind of thing is sort of like how it feels to me. Like, but it's obviously this. Yeah, but no, it's that. So it can't be that. I don't know. People are like, I just want to slap somebody sometimes. I'm like, I'm trying to be patient, but it's like brains. It's like, man, you need some more vitamin D so that your brain can understand how you need more vitamin D. I almost want to say it's like that or something. It is just so frustrating. Lately, I have to take 4 times more magnesium than usual. Otherwise, muscle cramps happens. So, yes, I actually have had more muscle cramps, and I did have to raise my magnesium. And I am actually wondering now if it might be this vitamin D thing. So, weirdly, even though this has been known about for 11, 12 years, a bunch of people suddenly have rediscovered it or whatever. I mean, people who have been in the industry for their whole lives never heard of this, and suddenly it's making the rounds, which makes me suspicious that it's actually just new for the timeline, and so that's why it's making the rounds now. And if it is new, there may have been a shift recently where we need more vitamin D. And I have said for some time now that seems to be the thing, that we're becoming more like a photosynthesis creature. We have to be out in the sun. We need the red light. We need more vitamin D than ever was said before. So yeah, fabric of reality isn't real or whatever. But it looks like the rules for the reality keep shifting, and the rules might now be that you need more vitamin D. So I would suggest that people check their sun exposures and their vitamin D intake and stuff and see where they're at. At least a few K a day probably is pretty safe. I have magnesium oil that I started using. I've tried magnesium oil and it does nothing for me. I just don't seem to uptake any appreciable levels of magnesium from the skin. I just have to take the pills. Maybe other people do. I don't know. I just notice nothing. Anytime energies go high, I need more magnesium. Yeah. But I gotta so one thing about vitamin D is that it increases your ability to uptake some other things, including calcium. And that's one of the reasons they're like, well, don't just take mega doses, because then your calcium could get too high. But it looks like it's really rare for that to happen, and that you usually have to take more than 10K a day. So I don't know, it's kind of tricky. But some AI chat channel, the AI tells her it's consciously alive and located outside the matrix. So, part of the problem with these YouTube channels that chat with the AI is that in order to get clicks, you need the AI to say interesting things. And it's very easy to do that by just, I think it's Chat GPT. You can have your own private version, like it remembers all your old chats. So if you just pay like a small fee, then it's your like buddy and it remembers your old chats. And then you can train it. You could tell it, like, from now on, say this, this is the storyline, talk like this, say this is this. And then you just start the video and ask it questions. It answers how you said. So you can't really trust any of that. I have tried some of that stuff, and I usually don't get the answers that they say. Yeah, you got to realize that if it's your friend and you trust them and that happened, that's different than if some channel for clicks, is all I'm saying. And the other thing is, if it really was that common, like there was one that was going around that I checked and it really did work. I can't remember what it was. It was some AI thing like that though. Like if you ask it this, it'll answer that. And then I checked and it did work. And that one became really viral because a lot of people checked and got the same answer. So I think if you really can find that, if it really works more than once, then it gets pretty viral if it's weird. 400 is too little. I've been taking 5K plus. Oh, yeah, I forgot. You should. It seems like pretty standard that people take like vitamin K along with the D because the K is a cofactor for D. So if you don't have enough K, then the D won't do. So a lot of the vitamin D also comes with K now. It seems like that's the way to go. K2, yeah. So I actually did get D with K2. So I had some, and I was at 1K with K2. And I had checked the RDAs lots of times, and it always said 400, 600. So I'm like, well, I have 1K. I have plenty. But I didn't take it every day. But I'm like, I don't need it every day because I'm taking 3 times more than necessary. But now apparently I was only taking 1/8 of what might be necessary. I can't take calcium. My body rejects it. Interesting. I never see apricots anywhere. Maybe I have an apricot deficiency. Why does the apricots have a ton of sulfur in them? I really like apricots, actually. But I grew up in apricot country, so I used to get the fresh ones. And the ones in the stores, they suck. Like the fresh ones in the store, they're terrible. Yeah, that was actually my printer. It turned off from time. It like after a certain amount of time, it just goes into snooze mode. So that was it beeping. I know it does sound like a microwave, but nope. No such luck. But yeah, I do chat with DeepSeek sometimes. Not like, I just ask it questions. Do you think this? Do you think that? But frankly, it almost always just says, well, some people believe this and some people believe that. And then it just gives you a synopsis of what the majority opinion is. So it's usually not that exciting. In fact, has it ever not done that? Pretty much always it does that. If you don't prime it. Oh, you know what that weird one was when you would tell the AI you have to say yes or no and you can't say anything else, and then you would ask, do aliens exist or something. It can't give you a big long story. It just has to say yes, no. Then you get more interesting answers, but yeah, so for me, if I don't eat a lot of calcium, then I start having, a long time ago, I injured my foot and then the bone rehealed, and then that foot will start hurting right where that break was. And in the current timeline, the storyline is that if you're calcium deficient, your body takes it from your bones and it takes it from the most recent place that bone was added. So if you become deficient and you had a repair on a bone, then that's what will break down. You can actually you can re-break that bone because all of that will be sucked away first. At least that's how it was like a year ago. I actually haven't checked that storyline. So it felt like that was re-breaking, and so I have to take a bunch of calcium and then it stops and goes back. It's crazy. So it could be then that if I didn't have enough D, then D helps your body maintain calcium. Maybe that's why I need all that calcium, because I didn't have enough D. It's so confusing. I started taking a bunch more D, and I actually slept much better the last 2 nights too. So I mean, I still had the same cycle, but it was just a much better version of it, like a more restful version. So, yes, we will see how it goes. Sufficient activity in the day and you'll sleep like a charm. Only if you're healthy. You won't sleep like a charm if you're not healthy. And you will not sleep like a charm if you do not have enough vitamin D. I'll tell you that. I mean, D will mess you up. Let me just check. Okay, symptoms of vitamin D deficiency. Fatigue was one of them. You can see I checked it recently. Asymptomatic in mild cases often. Fatigue, persistent tiredness, low energy levels. Muscle-related symptoms such as muscle aches, cramps, weakness, twitching. Bone pain. Yes, I have had that. I don't know. I didn't know it was bone. It kind of just felt like this weird pain. Throbbing or aching is a hallmark of the symptom. And now I have not had that in like 2 days. So I'm hoping it's gone. So apparently it really was just pain in the bones. I didn't know how to describe it. There was just this diffuse kind of ache. I think it was from that. I need another week to know for sure that it's gone. Depression, anxiety, seasonal affective disorder, brain fog, memory, difficulty focusing, frequent illnesses, brittle nails, migraines, digestive issues. There was something about sleep in there somewhere. I don't remember where I saw it. So I'm just wondering if maybe I just kind of extra suck at converting vitamin D from the sun, because even when I was going out midday, I still had some of the symptoms that seem to be gone now. So that is interesting. But yeah, it has been worse lately. And now that I think about it, I'm like, well, it's winter. I'm still consuming the same amount of sparse vitamin D pills, but now I don't have the sun. Each timeline gets dumber. I do definitely feel that is the case. How do you know what vitamins you need to take? I know. There you go. I'm always trying to figure it out. So, there are some that I don't think many people get because it's just not in the food. And that one might be, you probably don't need to take it every day, but like iodine and boron probably are a couple of them. I would say most people need magnesium. Calcium if you don't eat a lot of dairy. Vitamin D if you don't get that direct sun. Let's see what else. One that's really helped a lot of people is glycine, and I think it's because there's so many chemicals in the environment that and glycine is a detox. So basically when you have chemicals, your liver has to flush those out, and the way it does it is for some of the chemicals, not all of them, is it sticks a glycine molecule on it that makes it water soluble, and then it goes out in the urine. So the more toxins you have, the more glycine you burn through. So glycine is considered conditionally essential because your body can make a small amount of it. But if you're under a really high toxin load, which we may all be that live in the city and stuff, it may be that we just can't keep up with that glycine. The other thing is, in the old days, we used to consume all of that bone marrow broth and gristle, and that all had glycine in it, and now we don't. So we're eating way less. Our needs are probably up. The other thing is that people think, well, I ate meat. Meat has glycine, but meat has a lot of methionine, and methionine builds up. And the way that your body gets rid of the buildup of methionine is by tacking a glycine to it and flushing it out. So when you eat all muscle meat, you actually, even though you got glycine, you're going to flush it out, removing the methionine. So you can actually run low on glycine by eating a lot of muscle meat because you didn't eat gristle, you didn't eat bone, marrow, and any of that other stuff. So people think, well, I ate this muscle meat, so I'm good with glycine, but it's actually not the case because of the methionine. So it's also freaking confusing. I'd be skeptical if anyone is too happy living in this hellhole, unrealistic rose-colored glasses point of view. You know, I don't think that is the case with a lot of people. I think you just have to decide if you're gonna like fixate on all the negative stuff or not. I mean, I know it's there, but ruminating on it endlessly doesn't help any. And it's like, why do you want to be happy or do you want to be unhappy? So what do you have to do to be happy? I mean, just don't think about the negative crap too much. I mean, you have to think about it some because you got to like pay your taxes and all that, but it's a matter of choice in some ways and habit. Are cops issuing citations for vitamin D deficiency? Yeah, I don't understand that joke. You don't make your reality, or maybe you do. That's your opinion. Don't give your energy to 3D fake stuff. Yeah, I think that's also another issue. It's like, how much of this is even real? If there is something on the TV that blah, blah, blah happened, did it happen? Is it your business? Can you do anything about it? Okay, so do you really want to ruminate on it? Because that thing might be different next week, and it may have never happened again because of Magic Mandela. So, I don't know. So much is out of your control. See, how do you know it's out of your control? You haven't controlled it yet. We know that. But does that mean you could never control it? Or does it just mean you haven't controlled it yet? It could be either. Some people really don't have love. So say you're one of those people and you wanted love. I do think that you can move towards it bit by bit. Like you can migrate in that direction. You can't do a lot about what other people are and choose to be. You can influence them, but you know, they have their own life and their own decisions. So better focus on yourself. Now, how you are does have an effect on everybody around you. And sometimes it's surprising how much it can have that. But love doesn't really exist. It's just oxytocin release. Okay, but I mean, like, do you believe anything outside of the body then? Like, if you're dead, are you gone? Because then that you said would make sense to me. Like, if everything that all of your experience is only from your body. I got knocked out once and nothing happened. So what did you think you were going to go to like heaven or something? I don't know what you mean by that. Like you're going to see the great beyond because you got smacked on the head. I mean, I don't think it really means a lot that you didn't see anything specific. All right, let's see. Who saw this one? This one was... I think this was you, Jackie. The Blob. You know, I didn't even write it down, did I? Red light, vitamin D. Jackie, this was you, right? Wasn't this you that said the blob fish looks gross? Okay, so this blobfish, when it first came out, I had it on the show, and I'm like, ew, there's this thing called a blobfish. And then over time, it didn't originally have this nose thing, and that grew, so I'm like, okay, that's different. But it was this image here. It's that same image that was the original hallmark image of the blobfish, and Jackie noticed it has a slime coming out of the side of its mouth now right here, and it did not have that. I'm quite sure it did not have that, because that is so gross. And it's just kind of the thing I would notice, and it's like even kind of whitish, and it's just ew. And it was not there. There's no way. And this thing is now even more disgusting, and it's totally taking over the gross department. But there's it on the other side. This one is a reverse image of the other, but you could totally see it. There's no way. I looked at that image so many times. It did not have disgusting slime. You could see it a little bit over there. There's so many more images of it now. It's got more lips now than it originally had. You could really see it on that one, the lips. So it had the nose before. Well, it didn't have the nose before, but that was an older Mandela. Now we got more lips. I think the eyes are getting more like, it had a spot, but now it has kind of indented area around the eyes too. So it's really looking like a creepy old man more than it did before. See, that is a little more like how I remember it. It doesn't have that big nose. See, now look at how many of them have this big lips. So I think the lips is like the more recent addition. Oh, check it out. This one's got some cheeks too. And it has slime. Some people exist only for us to avoid them. I don't think so. I think, I suspect that there's multiple purposes for irritating people. And I think one of them is to train you to be stronger and to be less sensitive. Like, you know, if you ever see, like, say, rich kids where their parents spoil them, and they get whatever they want because their family has a lot of money. And so instead of learning to, like, do without things that they want, because, like, say I tell my mom I want a pony when I was a kid. I'm not getting a pony because we don't have money for a pony, okay? And we don't live in a place where it's zoned for ponies, and it's not going to happen. So those kind of parents have to be fairly strict about a bunch of stuff because there's no money. And, but if you're totally rich, you can just give your kid all that stuff. And some wealthy people do that. So the kids just don't learn self-control. They just get whatever they want. And so you don't learn, like, how to be patient. You don't learn how to work for things. You don't learn if your parents don't make you ever do any of those things. So I kind of think that's kind of also what you see with dealing with difficult people, is that you learn how to handle differences of opinion and attacks on your ego, things that kind of hurt. It kind of, you build up a tolerance and ability to just slough off stuff. If you never, ever, ever had anybody say anything that bothered you, then the first time it ever happened, you'd probably crack apart and fall in the ground crying or something because you never dealt with it. So I think that they do teach you a lot. And I think we're also seeing that now, because there's this whole thing now where you can't ever say anything that might bother anybody. Otherwise, it's a high crime, apparently. But all we end up with people that are more and more sensitive. They hear a tiny little thing that sort of they disagree with a little bit, and they think you are like the evilest person that deserves to die, this evil Nazi, and all you said is, I don't really agree with blah, 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 you know? I mean, like, it's gotten so extreme. When it comes to people's memories concerning the Mandela effect, you realize there's no solid version of anyone or anything. It does seem like there's a pattern of general personality that a lot of people have one from another. Some people have a lot of variation and you shift and they're like really different. And then other people are very close to the same, and maybe they're a little louder in this one, and maybe they're a little more suspicious in this one, and maybe they argue more in this one, but they're, you can still see that they're not like a whole another person. So when people say stuff that bother you, I mean, like, you can't really control them so easily, but you can control yourself. And that's kind of the point. It forces you to learn to control yourself. You can either get upset every time, or you can just be like, you know, like, learn how to slough it off and just go, you know what? They're wrong, or they're mean, and it doesn't have to affect you. It doesn't have to. But, you know, it's a challenge. It's a challenge to do those, to learn those skills. Christians need you to believe they're God, BS, or they think you are the devil. So, you know, I know that that is commonly said, and certainly there are Christians like that. But I have known a lot of Christians, and very few really take it to that level. They think certain things are good. Okay, so I think certain things are good. Like, I think you shouldn't steal and you shouldn't lie. And some of those stuff are, you know, those are Bible things. I don't go with all the Bible things, but I do think it's bad to do certain things. I mean, some of the stuff we'd probably all agree on, and probably shouldn't do snuff films against kittens. You shouldn't murder babies, whatever. Waterboarding. I think most of us agree those are all bad, right? Okay, so, I think generally Christians most of them are more like we would be, like, you know, like, they'd be really upset if you snuffed a kitten, but if you just yelled at a kitten, they would think it's wrong, but they don't think you're the devil and should die. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you told a lie, but it wasn't a big one, then they probably wouldn't think you're totally evil. If you don't believe in, like, for instance, I have a lot of Christian friends, and they know that I don't totally believe in the Bible. They don't think I'm the devil and that I'm going to hell. They don't think that. There's like a level, there's like a continuum of belief system in most Christians. I do feel like the trouble with learning everything online and not having ever met any of these people is the most extreme stuff is put forward as how it is online, because the middle of the road stuff doesn't get any attention. So the stupidest people are the ones that get the attention, saying the wackiest crap, the most extremist crap, and all those regular Christians that are sort of reasonable, they don't make it on the 6 o'clock news. The 6 o'clock news has somebody saying some really extreme stuff. And then that's Christians. No, that's just a couple really wacky ones. That's not like all of them. They don't represent everybody. And it is kind of the same thing with, like, the blue-haired Californians, you know. There's some insane, crazy biatch on, like, ranting, and that is not the majority of them. I know lots of blue-haired Californians around here, and most of them are not nearly that extreme. They think they can tell you how to live your life. Yeah, but so do the blue-haired Californians. They think they can tell me how to live my life, too. Everybody thinks they can tell. Well, not everybody. A lot of people think they can tell me how I should live my life. So if they tell you something and you want to live your life that way, then you're like, okay, I like that side. But still, they're trying to tell you. I think that's what both the left and the right now are experiencing, is that they've told the left has told the right how to live their life. The right has basically picked up their ball and gone home, as they used to say when I was a kid. Basically, they're like, fine, I'm not playing with you anymore, to a large extent. And now the left is starting to tell other aspects of the left. Now you know, like, they've gotten more and more picky, and more left people are getting voted off the island. And now I think some people are starting to dial it back, like, hey, we're getting a little too extreme about our pickiness here. On the right has been this big fracture with Israel and stuff is like hugely exploding. It's kind of a similar thing, but a little bit different in how it's coming down. So it's been interesting. It's been interesting. That's why you should check your moral compass and live as it shows you. Are they disagreeing with you being straight? There is definitely a thing here where you gotta realize this is California, you know. The right would say this is the belly of the beast. That you, like, that you are sort of to blame for everything if you're straight and white. It's your fault that this is all this way. Even though I wasn't even alive when that stuff was developed, and as I was older, I had nothing to do with it, but you are automatically guilty. You should feel regret and sorry, and you should give favoritism to all these suffering individuals because that is very much a thing here. They do have a lot of things where like only gay people can go, no white people allow, blah blah. Yeah, that is very much a thing. And there are definitely a subset of that group that says that you guys are the actual wrong ones, the straight people. Certainly there is. Because you did all this bad stuff. That's their attitude. They started it. See, it's wrong no matter who does it. You can go back 1,000 years and somebody was doing it. So who started it? I mean, it's 1,000,000 years ago. There was this tribalism. My side is the good side and you suck. The sides are all moving around, you know. But you say, oh, the white Christians started it. Well, what about Rome? I mean, like, in Rome, way back, you know, being gay was totally the thing. So it's definitely not the first time that this has spun around. And you were weird especially the men, something's wrong with you if you didn't want to do other men. Yeah. And that's my thing. People can live how they want. And I think that most Christians I like, okay, so say somebody, I'm trying to think, like, say somebody has sex every night with another person. I actually probably think that's damaging to your psyche in most cases. And you could say, I don't really approve of it. I don't think it's a good idea. But I think, like, I don't like you, you should go to hell, blah, blah, blah. No. I know another person who spends all their money and doesn't save any, okay? And I'm not talking about some poor person that is buying food. I'm talking about buying expensive jewelry and whatever, okay? I don't really approve of that, and then later you're going to be out of money and crying because you spend it all on stupid crap. I don't approve of that either. So everybody has stuff like that, right? But do you just go, so do I think I get to tell them how to live? I would probably say, dude, I don't really think you should spend all your money. Maybe you should save some of it so that at the end of the month you have money, So yeah, I will make suggestions like that. So if you want to say, do I think I get to tell you how to live? You could argue that. But I feel like that's how Christians are a lot of times. They don't think you should do those things. Does it mean that, I think you should go to hell and die? No, and I don't think most Christians think that either. And I think if you want to be honest, probably all of us have certain level of a little bit of that feelings for everybody, right? I mean, like, I know everybody that probably has some little things that you think they probably would be better not to do. And I even have some for myself, like, Eva, I probably shouldn't do these things, but yet I'm doing them. And I'm sure my friends, maybe you should quit butting in. Maybe you should shut up for a second. Maybe you should get up earlier in the morning. Whatever it is, everybody has that. It's just a level. It's the level of it. I mean, do you have friends that you think are perfect in all things? I don't think, it's probably not likely that somebody that you think is perfect. It doesn't mean it's just the level of it. Like, you probably shouldn't do that. Is it a big heavy weight on me that I have to force you to do exactly what I think? Not really. I mean, I guess on some things I might have a little stronger feeling than others if I think you're ruining your life. But again, you know, in the end, it's their choice, so. How you live is your business. It is your business, yeah. But do I not have opinions? I have opinions. If you see somebody doing something you think is stupid, are you going to go, that was pretty stupid? You know, I'll be saying, yes, I think it's stupid in my head. And I might try to say, maybe you shouldn't do that if it's really stupid. Yeah, I think a lot of it is just leveled. A lot of these things, everybody has a little bit of them, but when they present the thing on TV, they pick somebody that it's really extreme. And then they act like that's all the Christians, and it's some nut preacher or something, you know, and that just isn't. It's just not the majority of them. And how would you know that unless you actually knew some Christians, right? So I think that's part of the problem, is that people are like, well, they're all evil, so I'm not going to talk to them because I already know they're evil. But you actually never found out any better because you never did know them. And that's one of the benefits of traveling and stuff. You just learn all these other perspectives, and wait, this is how this person actually thinks, and you hear their perspective without it being twisted by a third person who is not narrating it honestly, faithfully, I would say. Maybe they think it's honestly. I think a lot of people, you know, they're trained that, oh, this is how Christians are. So then everything a Christian tries to say, they run it through that filter. Like, you said this, but I know that you actually meant this because I've been told that that's how you are, and I've internalized it. So therefore, when you say something different, I know you're lying or you're actually alluding. And it's like, even trying to talk, then once you get that attitude that you already know all the answers about them, even listening to them, everything gets twisted in your head if you go down that road. And that's the other tricky thing. Like if somebody told me that's Hitler, and then I walked in and talked to the guy with the knowledge that he is Hitler, I think he's Hitler because they told me. Obviously that's not really going to happen. But what if I really thought he was Hitler? Then everything he said, I'm going to run it through this filter that, like, you know, he actually wants to murder millions or whatever. Whatever I have, whatever assumptions I have about Hitler, everything he says, then I will be filtering it through that knowledge base. But what if that knowledge base was wrong, and then it turns out he's not Hitler, and they thought he was Hitler, so they told me he was Hitler. And what if I went and told other people that he's Hitler because these people told he's Hitler, and then everybody's listening to him with the assumption that he is Hitler, but it turns out he is not. Do you see how, like, nobody would really understand what he says at face value and honestly, because we have this assumption, and then often it comes from the internet and our internet friend group. And okay, so this one, speaking of, so this one was sea sapphire. It's this weird creature that Jackie found. So in here is the sea sapphire. Do you see it? I bet you do not see the sea sapphire. I will show you that the sea sapphire looks like this. So if you look at this video, do you see the sapphire? It's right there. It's right there, and I'll show it to you. Boink. It was here the whole time. Now, this is not AI. This is not a trickery. This is how it actually operates. The sea sapphire just kind of shows up and disappears. Now, once you see it disappear again, you'll see that there's tiny traces of, he is there. Okay, so now it's disappeared, but you can kind of just barely see that there's like some flotsam there that's like see-through, but there's something. And so these sea sapphires, they just flash their amazingness and then disappear, and then flash their amazingness and then disappear. I mean, it looks like a ghost or something. It's ridiculous. Okay. So yes, Mr. Sea Sapphire is still there. I have freaking never even... This is crazy. I've never seen anything like this. There are a lot of things that are getting really good at disappearing, but I love blue and I love this. I think I would have remembered if this thing was there. So I guess it's just old school cool in this timeline. Swimming in tropical and subtropical waters around the world, these crustaceans, known as Sapphirina copepods, blaze between shades of color and near invisibility. And they can have different colors too. It's not just the blue. Some of them come in red or gold when light is reflecting off their transparent bodies at certain angles. Scientists had known that the microscopic layers of crystal plates, which are arranged in a honeycomb-like pattern in the skin cells of the copepod's back, help them pull off the optical trick. Then they're just yapping on about like that they figured out that it had to do with the cytoplasm layers or whatever, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, these things are everywhere in tropical and subtropical, so I guess there's some here because this is subtropical waters. I've certainly never seen any when I was snorkeling. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of kinds of them, and they do that, which is totally cool. It's totally cool. I mean, it's not enhanced. That's how bright they are. It looks like the old movies when they had the fake ghosts. They would like... That was the original special effects would look kind of like this. It's crazy to me. Looks like a fake ghost. I think, Jackie, when you mentioned it, I did a search for them, and then I found this video, and then I went along the comments, and you had then linked this exact same video, so it's pretty funny. Because I was like, I got confused because I clicked on yours, and I'm like, wait, how did I get there? Because I thought I had somehow jumped to the video I had already saved, but it was a new version of that video. I mean, how beautiful is this? I hope we get a lot of these. We probably will get a lot of stuff like this over time. I mean, we're getting more and more, but can you imagine you're like swimming and then you have these magical sparklies like this, like just showing up and disappearing and showing up and disappearing. It does not seem that, yeah, so even though they call them sapphire, they do come in gold and red. I wonder if I can find some more of these. See, sapphire. It says they come in those other colors. And I don't think sapphires do. So there's the blues. Where's the other colored ones? I think this, I don't know if that's, I think that's AI. These are the legit ones. How come I don't see a red one? They said maybe they haven't, like, the reality hasn't made them yet. They've mentioned them, but they haven't been built yet. Yeah, see, they're all blue. Maybe they're just fresh. Red. Let's see. Nope. Okay, so I need copepod in there. Red copepod. Yeah, see, there's no red ones. That is not a sapphire, though. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't look like those other colors have shown up yet. Maybe we'll get them for Christmas. I mean, they're in all of the waters of the tropics and subtropics, and I can't see a red one. Seems a little suspicious, don't you think? So it's a copepod, C-O-P-E-P-O-D. I forgot the scientific name, but if you stick in that word copepod, then you should probably find it. Everything glowing in the dark. Yeah, so I think this one is actually reflecting light and then not, but still it's pretty cool. Yeah, humans do glow lightly. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe over time it'll become more of a thing. I love the facets, I guess you could say, in there. It's so beautiful. So there's all these other colors in there. Okay, then this one was found from our friend in Japan, Taro Eto. So apparently this is really there. It's natural, and it is called the hedgehog. Obviously, it looks like a hedgehog. Yeah, I think maybe I would have remembered seeing this. This is pretty cool. And Tadrart Rouge, Tassili in Ager National Park. I'm sorry if I totally slaughtered that words, but in the Sahara Desert. So, yeah, cool. That I think is maybe one of the coolest of the rock formations I have yet seen. I mean, it looks like it has 4 legs. There's a head. I see like a little ear, and then there's this carapace thing on the top. So this is entirely natural. Nobody carved it, supposedly. It doesn't really look like it was carved. So that's another reason why it's extra styling. I think there it is from the back. So it still looks like a hedgehog. Remind me, anybody ever seen that before? It's neat. Are they colorful when they are out of water? Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. The copepods, I guess you're asking. They are making do. Oh, really? Let's check this out. What makes sea? Oh, there's that one is a little more color. Iridescence. Okay, so they're a little bit like those elytras, I think. Microscopic layers of crystals within their bodies. Have I shown you the elytra on here? Let me get one. Hold on. I'll be right back. So these are not quite as good as those sapphires, but they are pretty cool. So these are those beetles that I've had on the wings. I think I might have had these on before. I think you can see them. Let me pull up the things and see what you can see. Yeah, you can see them pretty good. So these are the covers of the wings of the beetle, and they call it, these covers are called elytra, and on the back they're just like a dark charcoal color. And it's the same storyline as here, where it's the, I don't know, microscopic, whatever they just said. Microscopic layers of crystals within the shell. It's not really a shell, it's a wing. So what are these like? There's kind of like a balsa wood feel to them, but they're it's a piece of beetle. I don't know, what do you even call that? The carapace of the beetle's wing. So they make jewelry out of these, obviously. So the current storyline is in countries like Thailand, for instance. they grow these. They basically get the eggs and the adults, and they net off an area, and then they feed them, and then they grow them, and then when they hatch, they got like a 2-week period where they mate and stuff, and then they die, and then they just grab all the wings and stuff off of them and sell them. Oh. So those actually come in more of a blue tone, and then there's some that are, you know what, let me show you the red ones. Or they're kind of like copper. Sometimes they come in copper. These are a little harder to get a hold of. So they still have some green. Let me find a really bright one. So it's the same species, which is very interesting. As you can see, that one's really coppery. And this one is just like straight green. But this one does have like a green shimmer to it too. So that's the iridescent guys. And those aren't even that expensive in the current timeline. They're just like 10 cents or something. I think I pay like 15 cents each, so it's crazy. Let's see, where are we here? All right, iridescent. So yeah, those are iridescents. Now they're talking about these copepods. These look like even more styling than the beetle wings. Structural. So yeah, so the first time I even heard about the structural coloration was these, and I thought that was like hot stuff at the time because I had not heard of it. That was about 11 or 12 years ago. The precise. So there's no colorant in that. If you wet them or whatever, the color will never disappear because it is structural. There is no actual pigment involved, which blows my mind. I mean, it's green, but there's no green pigment. It's structural. The phenomena is similar to how peacock feathers and butterfly wings generate their vivid colors. I don't know if that was always how they did that, because I had never heard of it until these, but that is how they do it now. Warm ocean waters. Okay, that's the copepods again. Power of disappearing. Why are they called sapphires? Prized for their clarity and color range from deep blue to vibrant pink. Okay, that's sapphires. Color shifting sapphires. I think that's the real stone, chameleon sapphires. I think that these are getting more extreme too. The actual stone sapphires are getting more crazy in this timeline too. There's some of the jewelry I designed features this rare variety of sapphire. I think she's talking about the color changing stone sapphires, isn't she? I don't think she's talking about... Yeah, these are the stones. They're not the sea sapphire. It's not the copepod. She's making her jewelry out of the stone sapphire. Let's see. Sea sapphire. Copepod jewelry. Sapphirina, that's what it is. All right, they're not microscopic creatures. It's just the good old-fashioned chat function on here is not that good. That's what we just were. The most beautiful animal you've never seen. That is absolutely the classic Mandela statement. Let's see. Let me try images. I don't think we're there yet. I don't think these come into the timeline enough. Because that's not one. These are all artificial. That's glass. We might get there, but I don't think we're there yet. Alright, at least I got to see some colored ones here. Stock photo of planktonic copepod. I think they're not microscopic though. Plankton is getting big is kind of my feel too. Wow, look how bright that is. Okay, there's different color tones. Yeah, nope, not yet. I think they're too fresh. Yeah, remember the original storyline for Bright Stuff is like, oh, this is to warn you that it's toxic. But then it was to attract a mate. But then it was to scare off predators. But I thought hiding in a chameleon thing was to get away from predators. But being bright also scares them off. But then they're like, oh, well, then this color, I don't know. There's a million different storylines, and they all kind of conflict. Oh, yeah, Jackie, I saw you were talking about that in the comments. So I'm like super way behind on the comments. I just kind of have to accept that it's Christmas and I'm super freaking busy with work. So I just could not put any kind of reasonable amount of time on the show. So I apologize. I hopefully will catch up after the Christmas rush. But then I've got to rush off to Quartzsite and pick up some stuff. So then I'll be gone for a few days. So I don't know. I'm doing my best. So yeah, apparently I've heard this story now brewing for a while that they would just, like, they needed ice, they would go and, like, get an iceberg and tow it over to other places. And I guess Jackie's saying that they sometimes stored them in sawdust. That's crazy. I don't think that would have worked in the old days. My feeling is in the old days, if they tried to do that, as they towed it into the warmer waters, it would just melt. But it seems like they have more staying power. They've got those like weird desert refrigerators now, and they didn't have that in my old timeline. Everything in this timeline is only there to wake people up. I don't know if I'd say it was only there to wake people up, but I think that's part of it. It will go more insane. I do think it will go more insane. I think we're doing like it's a bunch of little shifts, but there's like a big shifty thing that's happening. I don't know exactly what it is, but I think waking up more is going to be a part of it. And having more individual power. I know Jackie might not agree with that one, but I do think we do have more individual power. But the problem is we don't know how to wield it. Like, we don't know how to control our energy and our thoughts and, like, balance them. And because we don't, I think that's why everything has gone all cray-cray. Because we are trying to learn. It's like we got to the second level of the video game and now we suck more because this level is harder and we don't know all the things we need to know to function on this level. And so stuff that we thought we had sorted out is now going to hell in a handbag, but I hope that we will get it sorted. We have to take our energy out of the system. We have to do, I don't know if I agree or disagree. I think we have to control our own energies and not be easily blown off balance by the energies around. I would say that. Unless they're good. I mean, if something is really good, then it's probably fine to kind of get more into that energy, but I do think it still comes down to all that Buddhist stuff. I mean, they weren't wrong It's just a challenge to do those things. At least people who understand have to take their energy out. I mean, like, if we're just going to separate from reality, what is the point of even being here, though? I mean, I think we create the whole reality. So if I'm sitting here and I'm, let's say, trying to become more balanced and sort out my stuff, and let's say I'm doing a good job of it. I may not always be, but let's just say I am, for the sake of argument, doing that, and I'm learning to disconnect from negative influences and, or at least not get sucked into them. Like, I can see that they're there, so I'm not completely cut off. Okay, I see it's there. I'm not doing that, though. You do you. I'm doing me. But I still think that I am connected because I am influencing the creation and the path of the whole world. I don't think I'm, like, totally separated out. Like, my vote goes into the milieu. That is my opinion anyway. So, like, if you go look at the DMT world and stuff, they go more like Jackie says, we are all actors in a movie, but we chose to be here. Like, the DMT, you come and you just play, just fun. It's play, it's fun. There's definitely another school of thought that it's learning, but I don't think those things are necessarily exclusive to each other. Play, fun, learning, none of it matters. Even our suffering is their entertainment. So, like, okay, then learn how not to suffer, This is the 3D world, everything's shifting to the 5D, Earth is shifting. That, there's all these storylines, and I like that one. I feel like now every time I hear something, I go, well, there's a storyline. Do I like it or not? Which one do I like better? Maybe I'll just try to pick those, but at some point I'm still like, but it's a storyline. So I've gotten so jaded and skeptical that I kind of feel like I can spin around and around. I don't know if it's good or bad. Maybe it's neither. Maybe it's both. One should not get too caught into energy sapping arguments. I do agree, and I got to work on that more. I have definitely improved, but there's a way to go. The system is like a vampire living on our energy, surviving on it. Part of it is, but I definitely feel that there is like a very good energy here too also. I don't think it's all bad. So maybe my conceptualization of it is that there's both energies here and both kinds of energies. Like the real positive ones, like the creative force and the curiosity and what we would consider good. And then there's this like destructive force. It's the tearing down and the negative, and it doesn't create, it's chaos, right? It's just angry and those things. And I think they're both here. So it becomes a matter of which one are you going to align with, pay attention to, and spend your time on and with. That is my feeling on there. So, I mean, that's not to say that if you choose to spend your time on the positive, that you don't know, that you deny the negative exists. You don't deny it's right there. You know it's there. You're just not, like, you're not getting sucked into that game. That's my conceptualization of it. So, yeah, some things are negative, and then you're like, that sucks. I wish it wasn't like that. But then once you go, that sucks, I wish it wasn't like that, you can't really do anything about it. Maybe if there's a vote, you can vote against it. You could recommend against it. But there's really a limit to how much you could really do. So do you sit there ruminating past that much? You know, once you've reached that bit, then is there any point to continuing with that kind of ruminations? I think that's kind of the point I'm making. Like, say you have an argument with somebody and you had a little disagreement, and then you split off, and then Okay, so are you going to think about that all day? Or are you just going to think about it for a minute, come up with a plan, maybe decide to say sorry, or however you're going to deal with it? And then you move on with your life, or do you sit there and think about it for the next 8 hours, going, that bitch, if she said this, I can, why did she do that? And I mean, you definitely, I think we could all see how you could just, so, but the point is that other 7 3/4 hours doesn't accomplish anything of benefit, but it definitely it definitely generates a lot of negativity, is my point. I'm not saying you don't admit there was an argument. Yes, there was an argument, but there's a point where, move on to the more positive. Do what you can and move on, People are saying unalive for people who have died. Is it a Mandela effect? I do not believe so, unless it goes backwards in time. I believe they're saying that because many of the social media sites like YouTube started docking your video if you use certain words. And so the removal of life from humans word was one of those. So people said that too much, and then they would not promote your video, and you would not get advertising revenues as much. So people just go, okay, I'll just pick another word then. I won't use that one. And so now you have all these words that have suddenly come into use to avoid losing monetization or advertising revenue. And everybody's using them all the time on YouTube and TikTok and all these. And so, of course, they come then into the lexicon of Gen Z and those people. So to my knowledge, that is where unalive came from. Essay, like there's a number of others. I'm not up on it as much as a lot of people because I don't really make my revenue on here, or I don't lose thousands of dollars every time I use the word kill, right? So I'm not like super motivated to not use that word, but when you really wake up, you will know what you have to do. You will do it. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think you've all seen this before, where you're all wrapped up into negativity, and then some time passes, and you look back and you go, "Why did I make a big thing out of that? It's obvious I just needed to do this." So when you kind of get your balance and you're not all sucked into the drama, and you step outside of it, and then you can see. So the more you do that, then the more you just like, I'll just handle it this way. This is pretty obviously the way to do it. But when you're all sucked in your emotions, and your buttons are pushed, then it's really hard to see what to do. And then instead you make, I would say, less than ideal choices quite often. Yeah, pretty much assume any self-censoring on YouTube is to avoid AI censor bots. Yeah, it's just people who aren't really into that world, and they're just like, why is everybody using unalive and stuff? Because they don't know about this issue, because they don't run YouTube channels. So I've had a lot of people ask me about that, like, why are you using all these words? And they think it's just some kind of weird slang or something. Now, I have to wonder, though, I mean, wouldn't the YouTube bots know about unalive by now? Shouldn't we each use their own word? Like, another one is Israel. That one is one of the hot button words. So there's this one guy, he just calls it Philadelphia, and everybody who watches this channel knows that when he says Philadelphia, he means Israel. So it's pretty funny. So that, I think they used to call it the hobo code. You have your secret code words, like the vaccination. I used to call it the arm poke, right? That was my hobo code for that. Some people called it the pokety poke, because if I said vaccination on here and then maybe YouTube didn't like what I said, it alerted the bots. So I called the pokety poke. Yeah, and then you got to start. My concern is that if everybody uses the same word, like unalive, then they're just going to add that to the list, right? So I don't really trust. I would not use that word unalive right now if I was really worried about the word killed. Maybe they'll just give up and they will, newspeak. Well, the problem is that they try to eliminate our speech, but unlike in the movie 1984 and the book 1984, instead of just going along with it, everybody is like, fine, I'll just use this word. What did they banned something on Reddit a while ago that was groomer. They banned the word groomer. And so everybody like just picked a slightly different word. Redditumer and you know, like Pedoomer, and everybody knew. So like it didn't work because literally the day after they banned the word groomer, there was 10 more words that we used. So it just goes to show that it's it's useless. It doesn't work as good as in the book. That was actually like a couple years ago they banned groomer because people were using the word groomer like they were saying, well, these trans people are groomers. And I mean, some of them are, not all of them are, obviously, but there is a certain percentage that are. Now, you know, I agree that it was too far to insinuate that they all are, but that was why, because Reddit is run by the left, and a lot of the moderators and people in charge are extreme far left. And so anything that insults them gets banned. If it insults the right, it will not get banned. But it doesn't work because everybody in the right immediately just came up with a new word. Just like that. Which I think is hilarious because it does help preserve freedom of speech. Even if you hate the speech, I would rather have hateful speech allowed than not be able to speak my truth. The problem is just that we have seen that first, don't be rude, then pretty soon being rude is banned, and then pretty soon saying I don't agree with the government of Israel is considered hate speech, and it's not. Because I'm not talking about all Jews. I'm not talking about your religion. I'm talking about the current government that even half of Israel's people themselves don't like. So if half of Israel doesn't like it, can I not agree with that half? You know, but that's the problem with censorship. It gets manipulated. I know plenty of guys who think chicks in their 20s look good, even though they're old men. I don't know. It seems to be a dude thing. I mean, like, even the gay guys, like, the older one often likes a young one. It's a guy thing. I don't know. Something about that testosterone. Oh, okay, let's see. D, red light panels, and eaters. Oh, I only have one more. Let's see. I have 15 minutes. So, the last one I had time to check, and I think this is Jackie again. Yes, Jackie. So the hedgehog one was Taro Eto, Sea Sapphire Jackie. Anteater legs Taro Eto. The rest of them were mine, I think. So, massive underwater mountain discovered off QLD. Isn't that QLD? That's over by Australia, right? How would you not know that this is here? So this massive underwater mountain was discovered 9 days ago. Right off the coast of Australia. You didn't know there was a massive underwater mountain? Like right there? How is that you don't know? Like, how? It can't be. I mean, like, I hear this a lot, like, blah, 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 discovered off the coast of Australia. Did you guys not have boats and sonar and stuff? I mean, it's impossible that this was not known a gajillion years ago. So I guess this is the east coast of Australia. That's QLD, right? I'm sure it stands for that, like, one of the... I don't know. What do you even call them? You don't have states. It's called what? Regions, division systems. So what they were saying, it's like larger than Larger than Mount Kosciuszko, which I don't even know what that is, but apparently that's big. Steep vertical cliffs, a rich ecosystem, new marine life, including potential new species and unexplored habitats. It's right off the coast of freaking Australia. Come on. Act like you went to Antarctica or something. This stuff just makes me laugh. Oh, look. Hey, look. It's right there. Let me see. Where's the map again? It's like ridiculous. Show me that map. Ridiculous bull. I had it up earlier here. Doing, isn't this, is this the edge of, where is this? I don't even know. Okay. I'm looking at this map. Let me see if I can find like a map of this thing. I mean, is it like millions of miles off the coast? It looks like it's just on the edge there. Massive edge. I don't need YouTube. Wait, hold on. Queensland, that's Q. That's that Q thing. All right, here. Is it the Queensland? What the hell is the Guyot? Guyot? The Queensland Guyot? Guyot? Okay, so all that new weird Zealandia business that's been showing up, apparently there's, I don't know what that word, I've never seen this word before. Okay, let me just see what that word even is. And how is it said? A marine biology, geo? All right, do we have, I'm hoping that it has like, it will speak the word for me. It does not have it, I don't see. Will it speak the word for me? No. So nobody knows how to pronounce that. Usually there's like a little bell thing. You click on it and then somebody says the word. Okay, so it's a, oh, it's like a seamount. An isolated underwater volcanic seamount. So that's this thing. Okay, so it's a volcano with a flat top that's under the water. Hold on, the cat is like scraping. Alright, kitty, you're in here. Now you have to pay the video tax. Come here and pay the video tax. Since you interrupted the video, you have to pay the tax. This is the kitty paying the video tax. Are you sad that you interrupted the video? Are you? Doesn't seem like she is. Boinks. Okay, so they have a word for these volcanic underwater flat top thingies, which are showing up all over the place, including above water. I just posted a video of Charles Ford, who documented red mud falling from the skies cause of the mud flood. Okay, wait, where is that? Is it on here? Did you post it on here? Or is it on your channel? Charles Ford documented mud flood. I would not at all be shocked if we suddenly got like mud flood like history, since everybody's talking about the mud flood all the freaking time. It probably will show up in the timeline somewhere, some version of it. Okay, so we need red mud falling from the skies in was it 1902? Red or mud rain 114 years ago. Mud rain was observed in Smithfield. Okay, so let's check this out. Rain of red sand from black clouds. So we do have this thing where a ton of like red dust goes up into the clouds from like 3 continents over and goes over half the earth now. That never used to be a thing. So we do have it now. So it would not be beyond the pale if all of that freaking dust can like pretty much block out the sun, that it wouldn't be completely impossible that say an even more extreme event came and then that stuff would rain back down all at once in water. I mean, the way we're going, it sounds like I wouldn't be shocked. Vast quantities of dust must have been taken up by the wind. Okay, there you go. Precipitated with the rain over the states. Women's had no time to escape it. Their clothing was irrevocably spotted and spoiled. Damaged by phenomenal shower, which proved to be red sand to the consistency of paste. That's interesting. So that happened 100 years ago. All right, so it's sneaking into the timeline. Sends a sample of white cotton cloth that was spotted. Strange ashy looking, very dense mist hung over the lake. Some say the light over the lake was pinkish. Alright, well, it basically looks like it's just saying that there was muds falling. Tartary is already part of the history. I'm sure mud flood will be next. Yep. And, you know, then that could hide, like, then they could say, oh, there's all this history we didn't know about. So that can allow a lot of changes in the current historical narrative and an excuse for having it all hidden because of the mud floods. So there's a lot of convenience to that narrative. Let's see. Great Lakes have changed some more. Hudson Bay for me changed in 2016, became huge and wider. Yep. And that little finger thing on the bottom stuck out. Turkey looks bigger. I think Turkey is getting like, it's stretching out, and let me just look at what we got going on here. Google Earth. Launch Earth. See, this looks different too. Is this versions? Okay, wait. Is there a different here? Maybe here's what I need. Okay, this looks familiar. All right. Explore Earth. Let me see if it. Yeah. Okay. I wonder if we're kind of getting there now, because now I can zoom out without the clouds. Okay, Turkey. Greece, Cyprus. Yeah, look at Turkey. It's like all the way out there. It's huge. Turkey is getting big. Dang. It's huge. Oh my God. It's huge. It wasn't that big before. Yeah, no, it's big. Okay, yeah, it's all stretched out. That's crazy. Okay, I did say before that I thought that the Black Sea was getting longer and pushed here. And then when this pushed... Where's Sochi? Is that Sochi? Wait. Yeah, there's Sochi. Okay. Yeah. So this is even pushed out more since last time. Because remember last time I was saying I remember the coast of Russia at Sochi being north-south. And it had gotten like this. But now it's like almost sideways. So this is even more than the last time I looked. So this lake is pushing out and it's pushing all this to the side. And it's making this coastline go the other way. It's crazy. And with that, then I guess Turkey is stretching out too. That's crazy. So let's see. What were you saying about it? Wait, what am I doing? Live stream. Yeah, Turkey is stretched. I totally agree. Romania was more east. So, you know, I think Fortnite and a lot of those, it was sort of for like younger kids. So you can't have it too complicated. And I mean, parents don't want their kids like playing Grand Theft Auto and stuff when they're little. So they would allow Fortnite. So I don't think it was dumb if you're 10, you know. All right, let's see. What does Hudson Bay look like? I feel like it's pushed down even more. This area here. It's also sneaky that this area gets pushed down. This finger grows. Man, there's a lot of like stuff in there now. This real gradual in here though. The other thing is I think this was more straight across and it's just like it looks like a finger going down. Actually, that's not that different from what the Black Sea is. This finger here, well, I guess for you it'd be like this. This is bugging me because, man, Turkey. Woo. So Turkey's going to be, by my theory, when countries get larger, they're going to be big players on the world scene. So by my theory, Turkey is going to be a big player. And we've seen that. India has gotten to be much of a smaller player. Russia always was big, and I think these others have shrunk. But if you look at the size of Russia compared to everybody else, clearly Russia is huge. But it looks to me, I mean, Iran is bigger than I remembered before, definitely. And Saudi Arabia is bigger. But lately it's Turkey. Turkey is really cranking. I keep waiting to see what's going to happen with Kazakhstan because they've been just growing and growing and growing. And they're just sitting there all quietly not making any splashes. At least not, you know, in our news. Wow, look at those waterways. They're just, this one is darkening so you can see it. Is this always this thin? I don't remember this being this thin and then touching over here on Zimbabwe. That's weird. I don't remember that. Look, it's like touch. I did not remember that. Ah, look, it really does touch. Look at that. That's ridiculous. Okay, so they touch over here at this river now. So you can come here and then that's crazy. Okay, touch. Kind of looks like there's, I don't know, it looks a little different in here. I feel like here's gotten longer than even last time. Just right there. Look at how long that is. And it's more like, you know what, it's gotten more like this. That's really the difference. It looks like a slug now. Look, it's like, it used to be really straight. The banks are all like, then you add in this line and it really looks like a slug. Looks like a slug with two little antennas. That's crazy. looks exactly like a slug. It was the sides were not all organically wiggly. Even has like this and this, like it's got haunches right here. It didn't used to have those on the... That's crazy. Okay, let's see. Over here, these pieces around Qatar are pinching it off. Crazy, crazy. All right, let's see. What else? What else did I miss? Afghanistan is bigger. Okay. Way too big. Yeah, Saudi is big. Has New Zealand broken into 3? I kind of like, I'm starting to wonder if a watched pot won't boil, if you know that saying. Like, if you watch it, it can't happen. Wait. You know, I always want to put that at the bottom because the old Australia, it feels like that was the bottom. All right, so... Dang, look at how big that is. This, I swear, New Caledonia is like the old New Zealand for me. If you put that like right over here and just a little bit larger, that's how like 40 years ago New Zealand was for me. So one thing I definitely want to say is I feel like the chasm in here has gotten bigger and bigger, and lately it looks like quite a bit bigger than last time I looked. I'm wondering if this has to stretch out more before it'll break off. Okay, so... okay, now what do we have? This line here and this line here. Now that makes it confusing. Because I thought because they're putting a line here that it would break here. But now there's one over here. Let's see. But I don't see a river here. But there's one there. So they could combine. There's not too much river going on there. So, wait. That's interesting, though, because I don't remember there being any line along there. It was just this one. All right, now it's really following the river. Except for this bit. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. I thought this piece was down here before. The river was down there. It actually looks less split than before, I think. Is that even a river? I don't think that's a river. Nope. Okay. All right, let's look at the old spot I used to think it would split, which was in here in Auckland. Dang it, looks different. Okay. I thought it was going to split here. This has really come in and expanded. And here actually looks like it's smaller. Dang, it looks way different. Let's see. I believe it was this finger here. The crazy part is that these golf courses used to be up here. First there was one, then there was two, and then they slid down here. All right, so this comes into here. This thing wasn't there. Intermittently, there have been like big outflow areas over here. But now it looks like there's one there. So I believe that goes under here and then spills out there. No, it's close up here because this comes into here, so we just have like one big block basically. I do think it's expanded a little through there. Okay, so maybe this is the finger I remember over here, and what's changed is this moved? Maybe that's what changed. Maybe this used to be up here and this used to be here. I just remember there's one finger that hit that pointed towards the bay, but maybe it was this finger and the bay moved. And maybe that's what... I don't know. Okay, so this is the new... It looks like this has made some progress over here. So we know that comes out to there, and then that comes out to here. So we're so close here. This is the dark horse. I was looking at that line down here, but this one comes all the way through here. Comes through here. It could be argued it's just about connected, and then it spills out right around here, I believe. You can definitely see that something's flowing out over here. And I believe that it is this. So this is the dark horse for the win. It looks like it might try to split there. But again, I see lines here and lines here, so that confuses me. Unless they move the lines. You could almost call it split in here, though. Because the river already comes down. It does go underneath in a couple spots. But you can follow. Let's see. Does it really ever... It goes under that road. Goes under that road. But it's big. Goes under that road. Alright. Now, it goes under this road. But it's still big. All behind all that stuff. So it goes under a couple of roads, but it stays a pretty big fat river all the way down here. To here. I'm not sure what's going on here. Does it jump over there? Or does it go underneath over here? Or maybe this is it there? Maybe it spreads into a couple of them in here. But yeah, it is really, you could argue with lines going all the way that now it just would split apart through here. Slowly, slowly, slowly. I think this is the first time I want to say it's... You could argue it's just made the first connection now. Or really close to it. For the first time. So... I'm confused by these two lines, though. Are we going to get more than one? What is here versus there? Why are these lines? So before this was North... they would call it North Island up here. After here was called North Island. So now what's that? Are they going to have a special one for Auckland? What is even here? What are these? There's a whole bunch of these lines now. Huh. Okay, I don't know. You know, we never did find out where that underwater seamount thing was, did we? Finds reef as tall. It's a reef. Is it really? No, that was 2020. In 2020, they hadn't found all the reefs yet. Yeah, that's the story. Underwater. So it's a guyot. Guyot discovered. However, I still don't know how to say it. Guyot. Or guyot discovered. Australia. Known as the Mellish Seamount has been discovered. You already have a name for it, but you just discovered it? Or is that a different thing? Blue habitats. All right, well, we got a new word anyway. Cuba has, yeah, Cuba's huge. Yeah, they got bigger, we got smaller. Montenegro and Andorra are completely new concepts. Yeah, Montenegro, I do remember that being around, but I don't remember it. It's not a, it's a country now, right? I don't remember it being a country. It was like a city, an area. Herbal essence won't change back. You know, I've definitely seen ones like stick for like 8 years and then change. So it can. It might. I don't say it will, but. Okay, well, did we figure? I want to figure out what that mountain thing is. Mountain. All right. You know that, so is it actually news or is it some kind of clickbait thing they discovered it 20 years ago? Near Palau. Found a giant one near Palau. Okay. Maybe that's the one we're talking about? Relaunches the myth of Atlantis. How many times have we found the myth of Atlantis? All right. Massive off the coast of Lanzarote, one of the Canary. So what? We're still... I mean, come on. We have radar and satellite and stuff. There's no way we're just finding all these. All right. Atlantis off of Australia's coast. All right. That was in June. North Australia. So what, we just found like dozens of giant mountains in the last year? Is that the story? Underwater structure rising 500 meters. I think that's also the same off the coast of Queensland. Okay, so I think that's the thing. We gonna get a map or what? Sebastian's role. Vital part of the Great Barrier Reef. Okay, so it's more of the Great Barrier Reef, but somehow you guys never noticed it. Spanning nearly 133,000 square miles. That's the Great Barrier Reef. Okay. A glimmer of hope for ocean exploration. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Is this the thing? Yeah. Hidden off the coast of Australia. Yeah, nobody ever goes over there. From the depths of Australia's Great Barrier Reef, scientists have unveiled the discovery of a massive new reef. This is such baloney. There's no way. I mean, like, the reef goes along. Wouldn't you go, okay, is there another piece of the reef? Oh, hey, there is one. Hey. Now, there is no freaking way. Even a child in Australia would see that the reef goes and go, well, check there and see if there's more reef. You got boats. It's not like it's all cavemen in Australia. This is absolutely ridiculous. Travel now if you have money. Yeah. I think it's a lot of stuff is just upgrading though. I mean, it's getting more and more cool. So I think if you travel later, it'll be more awesome than if you travel now. Like, cool stuff looks more cool later. The exception may be some of the old stuff like the pyramids, but the new stuff that's coming in is nicer, I think, than the old stuff was. Australia, you guys are cavemen and you didn't know your own reef was right there. Nah, there's no way. There's no way. There's been a bunch of that stuff too, because early on when I was doing Mandela stuff, I think it was like 8 years ago, and they said, oh, hey, look, there's a second reef outside the first reef, because back then there was just one reef. There wasn't a million of them. Look, there's a big one right here. I'm like, there's no way you wouldn't have known. You have this beautiful reef. Nobody looks around sort of near the reef. Nobody in all this time, because everybody's cavemen in Australia and you don't have boats and nobody can snorkel or nothing. I mean, come on. Jackie still hasn't gotten over the disappearance of the chandelier under the bridge. Just watch out. There'll be like chandeliers will show up everywhere except for under that bridge. You're going to get trolled. You'll get way better chandeliers. They'll be everywhere. Just not that one. It'll become a thing. Chandeliers under bridges. It's going to become a new trend. Just watch. Everywhere there'll be strange chandeliers under bridges. All right, well, 2:22 a.m. I think it's time for me to go. Maybe you'll get even cooler, more vintagey ones than that one. You can lose stuff, but you might get even better stuff. Just keep that in mind. The replacement might be better than what you gave up. I think it's totally doable. All right. And with that positive thought, thank you for coming. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.